This week's episode is brought to you by NYXI and their Hyperion Pro Joy-Cons for Nintendo Switch. The Hyperion Pro is the best Joy-Con replacement we've tested to date. They look fantastic, they feel better than stock Joy-Cons, and the Hall effect sticks ensure longevity of them will outlast Nintendo's offering, as well as other third-party brands that still suffer with the dreaded drift issues. The super comfortable and ergonomic grip allow for easy long-time gaming. The programmable RGB lights mean you can customize the controller to your particular taste, and the gamer's reflex macro buttons are available to give you an edge. Plus, the GameCube-inspired purple option and the green Legend of Zelda-inspired variant really make the controller stand out. All this, and using promo code PvP, you can get 10% off. Head over to NYXIGame.com or use the link in the description. Hello, welcome to Podcast First Player, episode 286. I'm one of your hosts, Cal, and as always, I'm joined by a man who told his doctor he can't breathe when he eats rice. Turns out he's basmatic.
Good grief.
It's only bloody Dan.
Ding ding. Hello, sailors.
Hello, sailor, to you. Happy Wednesday.
And to you.
It's very nice that the weather's decided to come out again on the day of recording.
We get a little bit of sun today. We're in the middle of July, which is summer for us. It's basically like dead centre in the summer, basically. And it's been either pissing it down, overcast, but still quite hot throughout. It ain't a good mix, mate. No, and I think everyone's feeling it. Everyone at work's been a bit sort of muggy and mopey, and people that have been calling in are all not in a good mood, and some of them are being wankers. So I think it's just it's a bit of a it's sun's out, bun's out, but it's like sun's not out, everyone's bummed out.
Yeah, that's what it should be. Sun's not out, bummed out.
Yeah, maybe that's the new saying at the moment. But yeah, it's not even like an Indian summer at the moment. It's just a shit summer.
I mean, to be fair, we've had some like really nice days, but it's I think it was on the last podcast. It's too hot and dry, and you can't enjoy it anyway.
No.
And then it literally went from that to just torrential rain.
Yeah, it was real bad. Like over the sort of like weekendish start of this week, so it's been a bit fucking grim, Callum. To be honest.
Lovely. Back to British weather. To be fair, I've enjoyed it because I've been gardening, so the rain's been a nice welcome addition to not just sweating my dick off for like hours and hours. But then it gets to a point where
dry, compacted soil.
Yeah, and it makes it really, really difficult. And now I'm at a stage where I'm not digging, and about like 80% done now. I reckon I can get it finished. Like Saturday, I reckon I'll be done.
Amazing.
So I've worked very, very hard, more so than I have with like anything else, like my real job and everything else. But yeah, so I've kind of welcomed the weather, but at the same time, it like say summer, it shouldn't be pissing it down. It should just be nice weather.
Yeah.
But hey ho. Anyway, Dan, it's been Amazon Prime Day yesterday and today. Lots and lots of good deals. I suppose not really for us. We was having a quick look yesterday for the stuff that we personally wanted, and there wasn't a massive selection for us. But if you are after a Hoover or like a lawnmower or something, then there was a handful of good deals. And if you haven't jumped into the Amazon ecosystem with the Fire Sticks or the tablets or the Alexas and stuff, then best time to get them other than Black Friday.
Yeah.
But yeah, did you pick anything up?
Not as of yet. I intend to have another little look around tonight, mainly for the fact that we went out for a team meal yesterday, and that cost 486 quid. Guess who had to pay for that?
Ding, ding, ding.
So I get it back, obviously, but I've got to wait for the
from each team member.
Honestly, if it was a case of everyone paying it, it would have been at knife point there and then. But it was a great little night. But and again, I'll probably get it back tomorrow morning, first thing, to be fair. But after just spending nearly 500 quid there, I've just got Beckett's pet insurance because their free cover when I got her has expired now. So I've got a pet insurance. And one of the directors is retiring at the end of the month. And today I haggled and bought 2 items off eBay that someone at work suggested. So I'm not exactly strapped at the moment, but I'm feeling a bit of a kick in the dick for finances going out. And do I want an electric toothbrush with 30 quid off? Not really. Not enough to justify it just yet. There's the only one thing that I've seen. There's a 2 terabyte M.2 SSD. I think it's 7,000 megabits per second read speed. I think it was only like 30 quid off. I think so. It's down to about 118 quid, which in itself, mate, that's not too bad.
I don't think it was even that. I think it was only like 20 quid. I think is it the one you sent to me?
Potentially, yeah.
I'm sure it was only 20 quid off.
Well, I want to double check this, right? Because I'm not sure if everything that was on offer yesterday, is exactly the same as it was.
They do change.
Everything that's on offer today was the same as the price as it was yesterday. So I'm literally just going to get that up now because it's a Corsair one as well. So it's a reasonable brand. So that's not on offer. It's not on offer anymore.
I say a lot of the stuff again, like we briefly talked about before we started recording. Obviously, Amazon is incentivized to push its own products, so your Kindles and Kindles, Amazon Kindle, your Fire tablets and the Fire TV sticks and this, that, and the other. But some of the other stuff will see those reductions over, like whatever price it is yesterday might go down again today, but.
Well, that's really annoying, actually, because used is 192, new is 199, new 200, new 198, 204. So there's actually nothing that's even close to being as cheap as it was yesterday. No. That's really annoying, Callum. I wish I fucking bought one now.
But it wasn't that good of a deal, though.
Compared to today it is.
I mean, comparatively, yeah. But it's, like we're saying, you're better off for like Cyber Monday and stuff. For that kind of thing, you'll see more of it.
Well, all the offers end in 2.5 hours from right now, so we'll have a little dig around. There was
I see some headphones.
Yeah,
but
earbuds. Mine are fine. Like if they die on their arse, then I need to be looking at options, and this would be a good time to try and get some new ones. But for the moment, they're still holding their charge reasonably well. They're not as good as they used to be charge-wise, but they're fine. They're not cutting in and out. The audio quality's not dropped off, so it's kind of time to buy a new one. Yeah. My electric toothbrush did die on its arse like 2 years ago. And I've been meaning to sort of like get like a Black Friday, Cyber Monday kind of bargain. I'll have a little dig around. If that's the only thing that I'm just sort of like, if there's a good price, I'll get one of those.
Yeah.
Because the one that you sent me yesterday was like 60 quid off that or something, wasn't it? It was down from like...
Yeah, there was 2 quite good ones. One
130 quid down to sort of 90-ish or something.
Yeah, they were both under 100. I think one was 70 quid and one was 60 quid, something like that. I can't remember now. But one was like an eco-friendly one, so it's made from like recycled parts and stuff. And the other one was a brawn or something like that. I can't remember. But they both got very, very good reviews. So I bought an air fryer, which I would have bought regardless of the Amazon. We talked about it the other week, and I was like, really want another air fryer. After Zoe trapped the cable in the toaster machine of the other one, and broke both the toaster machine and the air fryer.
What a doink!
I got one yesterday. Haven't used it yet, but everything else, like there was a couple of headphones that I was looking at. There's some really nice Sonys, and it was like on the thing because a lot of the stuff it doesn't tell you the price on the homepage for the Prime Day, and it was like 65% off or something ridiculous. And then you click it, still 240 quid.
Yeah, the prices are very much based off the RRP rather than what they would have been. It's still annoying though. I'm really annoyed about the SSD actually. I was genuinely in 2 minds about that yesterday. But what I did mean to do is I meant to check and make sure I've actually got a spare slot for it for a start.
That's a good point, actually. Yeah.
So I haven't increased any internal SSDs or any internal drives at all. To be fair, so as long as I've got additional storage for them, I don't mind that. I mean, if anything, I'd bin off the HDD and replace it with
PCIe. It'll just take a PCIe slot, won't it? So
it will, but also the size of that GPU, I'm pretty sure it's covered up the size of another one. If I'm honest, I'll need to open the side of the case to have a little look. But yeah, I want to have a little look around. Like the mouse and keyboard that I've got are all fine. Webcams, that was something we mentioned the other day. If I can get a new webcam, that'd be something that'd be a good little win. But yeah, like kitchen things, like the air fryer, you kind of nearly talked me into it yesterday, to be honest. Because I do think I'd use it. I think I'd use it quite a bit. So maybe that's the thing. I'm going to go down the old PC and accessories category, and then homeware and like kitchen thing. Oh, and cat stuff, obviously. If I need to do that,
combine them and turn an air fryer into a PC.
Well, didn't someone do that? The KFC one, wasn't that a PC and air fryer?
I don't think it was an air fryer. I think it was.
Oh no, was it like a chicken warmer or something? Like that?
Yeah. It's like if you go to like a canteen or something, and it's already cooked and stuff, and then it's on the thing. I think it was that. I've seen somebody make a fish tank into a PC.
I suppose that's good for water cooling or something.
Yeah, they did water cool it as well, and I mean, it's a bit of a cheap one because it was basically just a big fish tank, and then they'd made like another section in the middle where the PC went, so it wasn't actually part of the fish tank. It just looked like.
Well, yeah, because no one would be stupid enough to actually submerge it in water, would they?
But I wouldn't bother doing either. Like, just go. I mean, those are two things that should never mix together.
Well, I suppose it saves on water for like heating appliances. Like if you've got like a slightly tropical tank or something.
I think, if I remember rightly, because I didn't pay that much attention to the video, but there's a thing set into it, so the temperature for the tank, because it is tropical fish and stuff in there.
Yeah.
Once it hits a certain temperature, the PC just turns off, so it doesn't overheat the tank.
Right.
So if you're in the middle of playing a game,
it's sounding less and less practical.
Yeah,
it
seems really fucking stupid.
Yeah.
I've seen better ones where they've done it like into a Hoover and stuff like that, and I'm like, that's kind of cool idea, concept, but again, I don't really want to drag my PC around collecting dust. It's bad enough just sat on the desk.
Yeah, I mean, like something, I don't know, like some extra storage or something like that, maybe. Again, it's one of these things that they try and get you by like, oh my god, incredible deals. What do I actually need? What do I actually need? And the answer is probably not much.
You'd look at it as, like, for me personally, it is one of them where we talked about the other week, the air fryer. So I was like, I'm going to buy an air fryer. I may as well wait for Prime Day. So that's what I did. But a lot of people, especially like the likes of me and you, it's a case of, I need this, I'll just buy it. It doesn't really matter like what day it is. It's if I need it, I'll just fucking buy it.
Well, that's the thing. There wasn't anything like it was always going to be a case of if there's an incredible deal, then I'd take a punt on it and go. I don't necessarily need it, but I'll get it because it's probably not going to be that cheap again. Like you mentioned earlier, the Amazon own products are kind of like your big hitters, really, in terms of. But if you've got some kind of Echo Dot, Fire Stick, Amazon, Google Home, whatever, you're kind of covered for that as well. Like the Fire Sticks are probably a really good shout. They probably make really good Christmas presents and birthday presents for kids and stuff like that. You just smash it in the TV, bang, done.
We got other news, Dan, in the shape of next week. Well, by the next podcast, we will have both watched Wolverine and Deadpool at cinemas out on the 25th.
No, well, it won't be next week. It'll be the week after.
Oh yeah. Sorry, yeah.
So not the next one. The next one.
Yes. What I meant was, but when Wolverine and Deadpool comes out, the next podcast.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, that's what I meant in my head.
So potentially, what we could do is I need to watch Acolyte because that's finished as of today.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to just plough through it and see if it is you should have saved them all up and then watched them in one big go kind of thing.
The last one's definitely the best episode.
Okay,
so
well, that's
something to look forward
to. Definitely, yeah. So Acolyte I do want to watch. What did I watch the other day? I started watching Exploding Kittens.
I haven't started that yet. Yeah, on Netflix.
The new Netflix show, yeah. Not amazing. Like the voice acting for Godcat is, what's his name? Tom Lord, is it? The fellow from Lucifer?
I want to say Tom Ellis.
I think you're right, actually. I think it is. I think that is it. It's fine. It's just his voice just doesn't really suit that character, if that makes sense. You do adjust to it, but it just doesn't seem. It doesn't seem like a voice actor. But there's a couple of jokes in it that I've actually laughed at, but for the most part, it's just kind of middle of the road, reasonable animation. I don't know. It feels like it could be. It's not kid friendly.
Yeah.
But it's not like adult entertainment. It's not like a Big Mouth or like an F Family or whatever. It kind of feels like it's being quite safe. So it's reasonably good. It's just I wouldn't be encouraging people to go and watch it necessarily.
The trailer struck me as someone on YouTube got lucky, and it got made into a show. That's how I saw the trailer, and it was something I was like, I'll give it a go. But I have been more inclined, Dan, to watch, catch up with Harley Quinn.
For me, that's like 4 seasons in or something like that.
Honestly, I finished the first season, and then I just stopped watching it.
It was great. I have literally no reason as to why I stopped watching it. And now every time someone mentions it, I'm just like, I need to have a look at that. Oh, fuck me, there's 3 more seasons that I haven't started yet. I proper loads to get through, yeah.
I just saw a clip on Instagram the other day, and I was like, fucking Harley Quinn. So I haven't started yet, but I'll probably do that like Saturday or something. Just a big old binge fest of that. But I've finished Acolyte.
Okay.
Overall, it's all right, mate.
Yeah.
It's better than Boba Fett. I'll still stand by that.
Yeah.
There's a lot in it that I don't like, but it ended in a way where I'm like, if they do get a second season, and it furthers more of kind of like where it ended, I'd be all right with that. That'd be good. Very, very big thing in it that I can't spoil, but yeah, I think you'll enjoy it more in the same way as Andor, where I watched Andor week to week and found it I liked it, but it was so fucking boring. Whereas you watched it all in one go, back to back to back to back to back. So you didn't have that.
It's like over a weekend. I think it's like one Saturday or something like that.
But I found it to be the episode would finish and we were like, nothing fucking happened. And now I've got to wait till next week.
Yeah.
Whereas obviously you just went, nothing happened, next one.
Yeah.
And I think Acolyte's the same way. It's way more faster paced than Andor. But you get to the end of the episode and it is almost like, just to kind of stick it to Disney, I'm not going to watch it next week. like, how dare you fucking do that? And not even in a good way, like the boys say, where you just really want to watch the next one. It's just, it gets to the end and you're like, well, that was fucking 20 minutes shorter than the last one.
Yeah, they've done that with a few things, though, where it might have been Loki or something like that, where it's just like it was an hour, and then 32 minutes. And you're like, be consistent. Why are you just dropping off? Like, you sort of sitting down expecting to kind of have that same pace or whatever, and then it's just, and that's it for this one.
Yeah, it's annoying.
Yeah, so once I've actually, probably this weekend, I've gone through and watched them all. I might start it tomorrow, actually, but it depends on if I get through them in one night. Potentially I can. And let you know if it works better doing that, because that might be unless they're dropping all of them in one go, that might be the way to do them from now on. Just treat them as like a big movie rather than
potentially,
a week-to-week series,
I do think they should do more like with... Again, I prefer they didn't. But if they are going to pick and choose where they go... Like, Ahsoka was released all... No, it wasn't Ahsoka.
No, Ahsoka was it was the first 2 or 3 episodes, I think, for Ahsoka.
It was Loki, wasn't it? Loki was done all in one.
The first season was, I think, wasn't it?
No, the second season. And then they changed their mind off, like, before they did it. Because they basically, like, said, we're just going to release all of Loki season 2. It was like, yay! And then, like, the week, maybe 2 weeks before it started, they went, nah, just do it once a week. But, like, with stuff like Mando and that, I'm like, yeah, I'm happy to wait a week basis. But for stuff like this, where, like more in Acolyte's case, where we don't know who the people are, we've got no attachments, we don't care about them, we're less likely to watch it. So just do it all in one go, because then if the people, I think you'll get a bit more attention from it and less angry people going week to week complaining about each episode. But yeah, it was all right, not the worst. I think you'll enjoy it. The boys we've got.
I I did not watch last week's episode. Just to be clear.
Then I'm not gonna say no.
So it's my own fault because I've been quite busy, and then the weekend was really busy, and it wasn't until I got to sort of like, I think it was like Sunday night when I was watching Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and I was like, oh, I did watch The Boys this week, so now I'm going to save that up. Oh, so I can't watch Acolyte tomorrow because
You got
The Boys is out tomorrow, so I'll watch both of those back to back. It will be a weekend job, yeah.
I didn't watch anything. Like I say, obviously we talked over text, but I'd been doing the garden all weekend. Didn't watch absolutely anything. And then I watched the England match on Sunday. And
Yes,
then
I also
straight
watched
after
that,
I watched The Boys straight after that. And then
I watched Planet of the Apes straight after that, basically. So, have you seen Kingdom yet?
No, I still yet to watch the last one. Not the new... Wait.
No, War for the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, so the last new one before this one.
Yes.
That's where I'm up to. But I'd never seen that. I haven't seen that one at all. Like the other ones I've rewatched leading up to it. But I'd never actually sat and watched the other one.
I really like War. I think that there's not really a weak film amongst the series so far.
Really good, and I still stand by from the trailer for the new one. I still don't think, like, animation-wise, they look as good as the first one.
That I'd agree with. Like, it's quite... I wouldn't say it's noticeable, but it just doesn't feel... Because I'm sure I mentioned after we watched Godzilla, Kong, New Empire, I was just like, fucking hell, I've just been rewatching like the new Planet of the Apes movies. I was like, the detail on like the apes and like how they move and their lips and everything was incredible. And then on Kong, it just sort of looks like a bloke almost that they just sort of slapped a monkey filter on. It's like, it's not as nuanced, it's not as detailed.
Yeah.
In this one, it feels... But do you know what I think it actually might be? Because I don't think this is a spoiler, but it's not set like directly at... Like, so those ones have all sort of been within like, I don't know, 10, 15 years or something like that. Yeah. From like the first one to like where they end up with the War for the Planet of the Apes. It's something like that anyway. Whereas this is like quite a significant jump into the future. Not 1,000 years, but basically it's brand new. Like in terms of characters, there's no crossovers or anything like that. But what they seem to be doing is that they seem to be like, there's just certain shots where like people, like where apes are sort of like walking towards the camera or whatever, and they're starting to look more like the apes from the original Planet of the Apes. Yeah. Where they got sort of like a bigger face, they're just sort of like a big mutton chop kind of fur lining. So I think maybe they're kind of going that sort of direction to make them look more half ape, half human.
But is there enough time for that? Because obviously it's still evolution, isn't it?
Like... It is, but you'd still have to jump it forward a few more times, I reckon, to kind of get into that point. But that's the way that I think that they're going, which is why maybe they don't look, because you're not mapping it exactly off what an ape looks like.
I just assumed it was a different VFX company doing it.
That's also entirely possible. I mean, again, it's not to say that they look any worse, not by any means. They still look great. Everything in it looks great. They focused in on the right things, which is just that instead of it being the same character that you've had or the same characters that you've had previously, they've just gone, we're moving it forward in time. That saga, like the build up for the Planet of the Apes stuff, that's done now, and then this is kind of like building into the kind of the aftermath of it. But like the performances are all fucking spectacular. There's a lot of sign language and stuff like that in it, which is great.
Is it proper? Like, is it
as far as I know,
ASL? Is it?
It probably would. I think they used ASL in certainly the first couple where they couldn't really speak and they were just using sign language. So unless they did what they did, what was that fucking thing where they had someone who was deaf or mute? Oh, the Inhumans. And
yeah.
For Black Bolt, and they went, instead of just using ASL or BSL or just some sort of actual sign language, they just made up some random shit. Just went, just do this. It looks kind of like sign language, and
we'll put subtitles on.
Mental. But it's like, by the time I got to the end, because it is jarring, because you just sort of like, I don't know who any of these fucking apes are. And you just sort of like, right, if they introduce like 12 new characters and they're all apes and they all look basically the same, they're all sort of furry unless they're wearing a specific piece of cloth or a certain hat, or whatever, you don't know. You can't really tell them apart, especially when things are going. Yeah, exactly.
One's in pink, one's in yellow, one's in white.
And I'm sure that's why they did it with like some of the other ones where there was only a few, or they were completely different species of ape.
Yeah.
So you go, right, that's that one, and that's that one, and that's that one, and they look totally different. And that one's bald, and that one's scarred, and this one's got a giant scar across his chest, so you recognise them at a glance.
And you know he's evil.
Yeah, exactly. But they didn't really do that. But you can tell with the performances that. But again, they kind of focus around one or two or three, maybe at most at any kind of one time.
Is it still Serkis doing it, or
is it
still Andy Serkis doing it?
I don't know, because I mean he didn't do all the mocap anyway outside of the first one, Dawn, I think, because obviously he was Caesar.
Yeah.
But then they still had other people doing the other apes. But I'm sure with like Dawn and Rise and War, I'm sure that they like he probably either did training, or there's like people that trained him that train all the other mocap actors. Like, this is how you walk like a chimp, this is how you walk like a gorilla, this is how you walk like a whatever. And they do feel different in terms of their like movements and motions and things like that. But by the sort of the time you sort of like half an hour into it, I was invested, and I was just sort of like, I kind of like these guys. And then it's like moving it forward into, okay, well, how are we going to get to proper Planet of the Apes? Like, where's this going ultimately?
It was Charlton Heston, wasn't it?
In the first Planet of the Apes, it was, because they tried to set it up during the first three films, where it's just like, oh, there's a spaceship gone to Mars, and it's like, oh, we've lost track of that spaceship that went to Mars. That isn't in this, by the way.
They're good.
No, there's no payoff to it just yet. Anyway, I think they need to come back like it's like 1,000 years later or something like that.
That's what I mean. Like in terms of like, I know this one isn't a massive time jump, but there is a bridge of time between the last one and the new one, but not enough for evolution to take effect.
Nah. But like, I mean, it's forced evolution anyway, with the gas thing that's quicker. Made them super intelligent. So yeah, maybe like a few generations down the line, things do start to change, and their vocal cords get easier to talk and that kind of stuff, I suppose.
I was always of the thinking and understanding, and again, I'm not a big Planet of the Apes fan and like facts and everything else, but I was always of the understanding that they look the way they do just because of limitations of the time.
Oh, so, yeah, I mean, most of them, like with their masks, they would have had like a fixed top lip, so they would have just been talking into a fake mouth, wouldn't they?
Yeah, basically, and if this is probably how they wanted it to look, where
they aren't going to look that bad again, believe me.
But that's what I mean. Like, whereas the Tim Burton one lent more into that look, so like they looked very similar to the old ones.
Yeah, like it was prosthetics and stuff rather than CG.
Yeah, and I think even in terms of like animatronics, you could have had a better looking ape than what they did.
They were still pretty good looking though. Like it's things like with Helena Bonham Carter.
Yeah,
like it's just sort of like you just look like Helena Bonham Carter with a bit of prosthetics on. But with like, I can't remember who it was that played the King Monkey or whatever it was. But like what's his name? Michael Clark Duncan, is it?
Yeah, he's in it.
He was like the big silverback gorilla or whatever he was, wasn't he? And that I'm fairly sure was just a suit, wasn't it? It wasn't a CG thing.
No, it was just a suit. They're all just practicals.
Yeah,
it fit.
I can't imagine that is. Maybe these days it's not easier to do that.
No. I mean, it's not cost effective. It's not time effective. It's probably very uncomfortable. But again, limitations of the time.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I personally, I wouldn't be happy if that's kind of where we end up. So we've gone from how fantastic and realistic the apes and the orangutans and stuff look in the first Planet of the Apes, the new Planet of the Apes, and then we end up with they look just like people now. Like, I don't think I'd like that. I
think they're kind of crossing a boundary into like that sort of uncanny valley of like I don't really know if are they apes, are they people? Ugh. But honestly, again, it's not that jarring. Like a lot of the apes in it, they do just look like normal apes. It's only I think it's only the main one that I've noticed. I was just sort of like, have they made him look a bit more human? Because like, there's a great example of it, and you recognize it when you see it. But like one of the orangutans, like so the orangutan, what's his name, Maurice in the first ones, he's just sort of it's a big normal orangutan, signing or whatever. In this, the orangutan, it's still obviously an orangutan, but it sure as shit doesn't look really like one anymore.
Right.
Like it looks like it's a few more generations down the line, and like a lot of the unnecessary orangutanness is kind of being stripped away a little bit. Now, I don't know if there's like sort of species or subspecies within the orangutan species that look any different, like who look more like this dude than the
Probably
older
is like because obviously
maybe so. That could just be my lack of understanding of the ape world. Maybe I don't know.
I mean, I'm no fucking scientist or genius in the matter, but like, there's obviously you've got is it genus?
Jesus,
not Jesus, like genus. I'm sure it's GENIUS.
Yeah, the genus, the phylum.
Yeah. And I'm sure each subcategory of ape, like chimpanzees, apes, gorillas, orangutan, etc. But for orangutan, the only ones that I like definitively know is Gigantopithecus and orangutan.
Yeah,
they're the only two different species of the different sets of the same species.
So unless there's specific offshoots that look more human-esque than the sort of typical orangutan, then this is like a creative choice that they've gone down to start making them look a little bit more like I don't think they've ever said that like the original 60s Planet of the Apes, this is a canonical prequel to all of that, which is, if that's the case, I don't know why you'd be like say trying to aim to get to that point where they all look very similar.
I'm relatively certain from Mr. Sunday Movies, when they were doing the Planet of the Apes.
That source of all knowledge and information.
100%. That it was stated that this is like a different universe.
Cool. Then they've got no reason to try and build to get them to look like that, which totally makes sense.
I mean, that might not be the case. It might be a case of it's a different thing, but they're still going to end up in the same kind of
potentially
story.
It's one of those things that after War of the Planet of the Apes, I wouldn't say it ends so definitively, like, oh my god, you don't need to make another one of these. But if they'd have never made another one, I would have thought it'd have been a pretty solid trilogy just purely on its own. This one, as when we sort of first saw the trailer, I said it at the time, I was like, I don't know why they've made this. Like, I thought they've rounded it off quite nicely, and hopefully when you finally get around to watching War, you'll see what I mean, or you would agree necessarily that it's just sort of like, why have you done this now? But this isn't a bad one to start on. Frankly, it's not as if it's completely. What was the point of it? Like I do kind of want to see what the next one is, because presumably this isn't just like they're taking another crack at it. Yeah, and they just leave it at that. There's another trilogy planned, I assume, with like these new apes or whatever.
As a guess, and again, obviously I haven't seen the new one, but from what you've said and from the bits that I have seen trailer-wise, you could probably look at it as like Star Wars. You got the original, the first trilogy, then you got your prequel trilogy, and you've got your after trilogy. So it could be a case of we'll have another two of these ones, and then the next ones it's
jump it forward another 200 years or whatever. Yeah. I wouldn't be adverse to that, because again, I want to sort of see how this ape culture sort of develops and where all these sort of stories are converging. Like, what's the ultimate aim of these franchises? What they're doing with it? In the same way, like Alien Romulus, you're like, what are you doing? Like, where's this going? Why are you still making these?
Have you seen the statue of the xenomorph from Romulus?
No.
They released a picture yesterday of it.
Really? No, I haven't seen that. I'll have to have a little look at that.
Well, I didn't send it purely because it's not in the trailer or anything. So it was like, well,
To be fair, if there's another trailer for Romulus, it would be in that, and I probably would be watching it anyway, because I don't think there's enough in the first one to be like, yeah, I'm going to need to go and see that.
First one.
Exactly. So a trailer 2 would probably have it. So yeah, I want to have a look at it, because I mean, the
looks really good.
For the most part, should look pretty much the same after we got to Covenant, I think. Like with Covenant, they were kind of like back on form, I think, weren't they? Just like normal Xenomorphs.
What are your predictions? Do you reckon Romulus is going to be good?
No.
Yeah, good. That's where I was going.
No, I don't think it will be. I think it'll be another one like Covenant that I go, I enjoyed it. But you keep on trying to make more stories about Michael Fassbender's robot than like horror stuff to do with the alien. Like Bishop and what's the guy's name in the first Alien? The fucking robot.
Yeah.
But like, you know, they were robots. They had their uses. They had purpose, but it was always about Ripley. It was always about the alien or the aliens. You know, it was always about Ripley and the sort of the characters getting picked off one by one. Ultimately, his whole sort of like AI coming to sentience. Sort of why? Like, you don't need that in a franchise like this. You don't want like a Predator film that's just based around a human character trying to get to grips with their own, with their divorce or whatever. You're like, no, you want to see a Predator that's just fucking mowing people down in the woods. Then they made Prey, and I went, good, you get it. That's what you should have done. I mean, you just got a couple of people, and it's one-on-one. It's a human versus monster. That's what you want.
I will argue that the majority of Prey was about the girl, not the Predator.
No, but it's still in
though.
the same way that Alien is not about the Xenomorph, it's about Ripley.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same, and it's how are they going to fight this immortal, incredible monster.
This is why I'm not excited for Gladiator 2. Like, no matter how much you get Ridley Scott involved, it's just like what you just said. Why? There's no need for it whatsoever. And that's how I felt about most. I remember when Covenant was first announced, it's like, Ridley Scott's back. He's going to save it. No, he won't. He won't. And he didn't.
Well, it's the same way that, like, with James Cameron, when they go, oh, we've made Dark Fate, and James Cameron is involved or whatever, and he's just like, oh my god, it feels like I'm back to making Judgment Day, and, this is going to be the most real Terminator ever. And it's like, it's all right, I guess.
It's fine.
It's better than Genesis. It's better than Salvation.
But
it's
only
better
marginally better.
3. But
it's
still in the same sense of, I don't care.
I didn't think...
Like, the only interesting thing was this, the new, like, the fact that they've stuck with this new timeline. So it's not Skynet, it's Legion. So, it's not the T-800s or whatever, it's the Revs, like the Rev 9 or whatever. And like the soldiers that are like getting augmented with like cybernetic parts or whatever to be able to fight Terminators like hand to hand. That's really interesting, and like that is probably the best part of the film is that
it's not executed very well.
It's just that they keep on. If they'd have just done that and just focused on, I can't remember her name now, Claire or something like that. Her name is, and then Danny, who's the girl, like the new Sarah Connor or whatever, or John Connor, I guess. But then, if you didn't bring Linda Hamilton in it, if you didn't bring Arnold Schwarzenegger, you could have just focused on them and just made their stories interesting and cool. But you go, no, it's another Terminator, so it still needs to have him in it. Step away. Leave him alone. Just let him do his politics or whatever. Leave him alone and just move. Don't keep on focusing on the actor. Just focus on the world.
This is the problem with the latest Star Wars trilogy, where this is a trilogy about Kylo Ren and Rey and Luke and Leia and Han.
And Yoda.
It's just like, okay, leave them alone. Just focus on these new ones. We're all happy. We know how the Skywalker thing went. Just do that. And that's why, for the most part, like, I badge around about it all the time, but I fucking love Rebels. And for the most part, there's no fucking Skywalker at all. We see Leia, she pops up, and obviously Vader pops in. But for the most part, it's all about the Rebels. And that's what it should be, because that's what the show is. It's not the Skywalker show. And with Terminator, that, like, Arnie he's the Luke Skywalker of Terminator. And it seems no matter who's directed it, they just go, I know what people want to see.
They want to get him back and have him say, I'll be back.
Yeah.
And how many variations of I'll be back can we have said in these movies?
So obviously the Terminator in T2 could like kind of shapeshift.
Yes.
I'd be all right if it was like a cameo like that. So the Terminator of the movie turned into somebody else, and then it turned like in. Do you remember in the X-Men cartoon? Not the new one, not 97, the original one. Morph is talking to Wolverine, and he just keeps turning into different people.
Right.
Just like that. So it's just like a split second, and you see Arnie.
Right. Okay.
That's it. That's all. Like, if they want to put him in, just do something like that. But there's a new show coming to Netflix, Dan, isn't there?
Yeah.
Terminator ZERO.
Terminator ZERO. Yeah. Like an anime kind of deal.
Rosario Dawson. I'm not sure. I think she's playing the lead, the girl.
Makes sense.
But yeah, it looks really, really. I don't know anything about it other than it's an anime and it's coming to Netflix this year.
Looks like it could be quite gory, quite violent. Maybe it's again. The question is, which kind of just goes back to what I was saying. Is this something that's still based in the Skynet Terminator timeline, or is this still going? No. Like we've done a reset of the timeline. Like Skynet doesn't exist now; it's Legion, and this is some sort of Terminator story that's based within the Legion timeline.
It would make sense.
If so, well done.
Yeah,
because it looks fucking sick so far. So
it does seem like even when you're saying it, just when it was on about like the timeline and that, it seems like it would be better suited to like a comic series or an animated series where they've got a bit more scope to do the things you can't do in the movies for budget reasons and whatnot. And I don't know, especially with the look of this, like this anime, it's got that almost like Blade Runner and Cyberpunk.
You can draw anything.
Yeah, and it looks cool.
Trying to like visualizing some of these ideas in reality, they might be like, that's too difficult. That'd be way too expensive. Yeah. You draw a picture though. Well, you could draw it, can't you?
Yeah. Gives that feeling of dread. Same as the games. Like one thing I think the Terminator games lack. I know you quite enjoyed the last one.
One before. Resistance is the first person one, which is okay. But it's not Dark Fate. What's it called?
I want to say Rising, but I don't think it's Rising.
Nah, it's not. It's Defiance, I think it is.
Yes.
Hold on, it'll be on my bloody desktop somewhere.
But you don't get the same feel of dread in them. And it's something that, again, completely different franchise, but like Alien Isolation did such a good job of making you just shit your pants. And that's what it should be like in the Terminator world. Because
but the Terminators are still killable though. That's usually what you're doing. You're building towards a point where you can take it out.
Yeah, but it's not like a man with a golden gun moment. It's still a fucking lot of effort.
and like look how with just the T-800 in the first one. You've got to like you blow them up. You put them in, done a lot of different things to him, and you have to crush him with unbelievable force in order to actually kill him. And then with the T-1000, that's just sort of like. Yeah, you need to like melt them in lava. Like this isn't just something you can just take out in normal circumstances.
Yeah, and again, if you're not in a situation where that's an accessible thing,
Dark Fate Defiance. That's what it's called. Defiance. So they've specified with Terminator Dark Fate, meaning that it's that Legion timeline. It's the game within that. That game's a great one, by the way. That is genuinely great. But yeah, Resistance, I think it is the first person one that's still set in the normal Connor timeline.
Not as good as RoboCop, though.
Same company, I believe, though.
I think, same ones that made it.
But yeah, RoboCop's fucking banging.
Very good game. It's weird we haven't. I know we had the reboot, but nothing RoboCop over the last few years.
No, I don't. Oh, you say the reboot. That was in 2014, mate. That was 10 years ago.
That's what I mean. Nothing.
The Joel Kinnaman.
Lately, yeah.
Dog
shit.
I don't know why. I suppose it's maybe they're just waiting to get it right.
Maybe. I suppose it's awkward because I believe a lot of RoboCop's, the way he walks and the way he operates and everything else was because of how heavy the suit was and stuff that they had to wear. I think they did lean into a lot of the restrictions they had, movements and stuff. And I don't know if... I don't think
because
that
I think
works.
it's easy enough to just, even those days when you've got to try and think smartly, because you can't just slap a computer image on everything. If they just wanted to have him as like a nippy, running around super soldier kind of robot, you just go, it's all internal. And you just get fucking Paul Weller. Paul Weller?
Yeah, it's Paul Weller.
Yeah. You just get him sort of zipping around and jumping over cars or whatever. They made a specific choice and design choice to have him look like that and be just an unstoppable tank, basically.
That's what I mean. Do you think that would work today, though?
I do, but I think you've got to frame it in the right way, because like with the new one, it was zippy and he was like making like incredible shots and like jumping over things and doing whatever. And it's just sort of like, I get it if you're making the film now and you're creating that character now and it's like a cyborg whatever, then yeah, sure, we know what technology can do and what it can be. But in the 80s, you didn't want something that could do backflips and stuff. It wasn't Judo Cop. It was Robots Cop, and robots were big and clunky, and there were tanks. That's why Ed 209. That's just a big Robocop, and it's just slow and plodding along, and it's useless, and it can't do anything properly. Exactly. And I'd want the same kind of thing. Like, it just needs to be ungainly and awkward, because it's just like so I wouldn't make, if they were doing another one, I wouldn't want it to be original like flavor RoboCop in modern day Detroit. You're like, no, if you wanted to do another one, it still needs to be in the 80s. It still needs to be, everything's big, crazy mobile phones and cars that are way too expensive and drink fuel like nothing. Like, you've got to set it up. Yeah. You've got to set it in an appropriate era to have that machine.
Yeah, that makes more sense. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't begrudge them trying again, but take your lessons and take them well. I mean, don't make it a fucking PG-13 or whatever it was. Like, it needs to be overly violent. It needs to be tackling catchphrases and, insane mega villains and whatever. Like, it needs to be like a Judge Dredd sort of, everything needs to be cranked right fucking up.
They already made a good RoboCop reboot. That was Upgrade.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you wanted to do it in a modern day thing where he's just like, he's a cyborg, whatever, it would be something like that where you don't have to specify, you don't have to build a giant suit. You just have incredible choreography and like film it in the right way. Otherwise, you just end up with Cyborg from the bloody Justice League. And it looks like a face surrounded by CG. That's all it would be. And with a practical suit, like you say, it is big and it is heavy, but it feels real.
Yeah, I mean a lot of it as well. Like because in the new one, I forgot how because they changed it in the reboot, didn't they? To how he. It's not the same as the original RoboCop, is it?
What do you mean?
How he becomes RoboCop isn't the same.
Oh no, he's not. He's not like shot to pieces by Clarence Bodica's gang. He's blown up in a car explosion.
It's a car explosion, yeah. But that was another reason for all the stuff because there's only so much of him left.
Yeah, but in the first one, he was mostly fine, except he took a bullet to the brain. He lost an arm. He was shot to shit. He was body armored, but that clearly didn't do a huge amount for him. But he was just absolutely riddled with bullets, and then they took both of his arms off. And in the new one, they just sort of blew one of his arms off, one of his legs off, scarred him up, and then they just went, take everything apart from the head and the lungs and one hand.
So they look cool, though.
It does when it gets stripped off him. But it's not supposed to be it's supposed to be like a mummy. It's supposed to be like that. It's like someone running down an alleyway and be like, and then he's just at the end sort of clunking down the street
Yeah.
But he's got like incredible aim, and he's got a machine gun that will explode people.
It's like Jason,
like a
Jason
pistol.
Voorhees.
It's exactly that.
He's running around, jumping over buildings and stuff.
Yeah, like Jason X or whatever it is. But if you think like the Mummy, like chasing down, grave robbers or some poor damsel in distress or whatever from the 50s, if you change that with, instead of that being the bad guy, that's the good guy, and instead of him chasing down, some poor innocents, he's chasing down all the criminals.
Yeah.
He doesn't, again, people are quicker than him. Like, there's, what's his face, sort of, zips off on a bike. Doesn't matter, just shoots the petrol tank, bang.
Yeah.
Like, he should be an ungainly, immovable object. You can't just stab him, you can't just beat him, like with a brick or whatever. But he's got to have, like, he can't have, like, Iron Man gadgets. Yeah. Like, he's got two things. He's got a gun, and he's got a spike.
And a jetpack.
That's it. No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. But like for the game, they've obviously like souped it up a bit. So he's got like he's got like a super punch, and he's
that's game though, isn't it? That's
it is, but it's still working within the confines of. Oh, maybe he didn't just use that ability at that point. Like he'd been on the job for like 2 days or whatever it was. Like by the time of RoboCop 1 being finished, so like sure they keep upgrading him, and that's what you're doing. You just building up your skills and your stats and your scanning shit and whatever. Like just do that. You've got the framework. Just work within that and just be creative about. You can't change it. You can't run super speed. You can't jump over a building. He's still just a big block.
What if they gave him healers? So just
like
get
rocket
wheels,
skates.
like wheels come out of his boots and then he can.
No, I think that if they did that, it would propel and he'd immediately fall over. He's he's so like center of balance is so off.
But that, I mean, I'd be all right with that though, because that's something that they did in all of the both the first one and the reboot, where like in Iron Man, you get to see the montage of Tony he's trying to do all the stuff and he's falling over and stuff. This just immediately works. There's no real learning curve to it, which kind of works for films of the 80s and stuff, but I think it would give it that little bit of humanity that's
simplistic
missing.
In that sense. That it's just all he has to do is be able to get up, talk, walk around, and shoot a gun. That's all he has to do. He doesn't have to like so like with the reboot, they're sort of like putting him into like hostage situations and like it's like VR missions and stuff like that. Or it's like a wind-up toy. You just wind it up and it just goes. But with a Furby or like a crazy like eye toys or whatever, like there's so many more things that can go wrong because they're so much more complicated and they're so more advanced. So strip it right back. Just make him a big block with a gun on it.
What if somebody goes at him with a magnet?
I'm sure they've done that. Also, if you just go, well, it's unmagnetized metal, so it doesn't.
No, I meant the computer side. Like if you put a magnet next to a computer.
Well, he's still mainly brain, though, isn't he? Like he's got cybernetics to like chips and stuff to help his things move. But again, electrocute him, dunk him in water, like throw him in the river. He's not swimming, is he?
Well, you're not going to throw him in, are you?
No, but you just hit him with a truck and knock him into water. Unless he's got an Inspector Gadget like flotation device that can bring him to the top, and he just has to bob around for the police to pick him up.
That's when they use the magnet.
Yeah.
Like, carry him out. But I mean, I'm not clamouring for a new RoboCop film, but
no, I'll happily go back and watch RoboCop 1, and maybe if I'm feeling it, RoboCop 2.
I'd leave it there the most.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I could watch RoboCop 1 every day and never get bored with it. I genuinely don't think I could.
Did you watch the cartoon?
No, I didn't know there was one.
Yeah, and there was a Terminator one as well. I think it was the same people that made the Ghostbusters cartoon.
So it's like a kid, like Saturday morning.
Oh yeah, it was for kids because obviously the success
they couldn't watch RoboCop
actually, 1, and they were like, "Oh man, this is fantastic. Let's make it into a Saturday morning kids cartoon."
Yeah, do you know who we should target? People who actually can't go and see what it's
That's
based
what I mean.
on.
It's like so fucking pointless. Because there was a Saturday afternoon after Airwolf. There was a RoboCop TV show as well.
Yes, that I do vaguely remember.
They show that all the time.
because there was like a Sarah Connor Chronicles.
That was years later. That was, but yeah, there was. It wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
The Sarah Connor Chronicles wasn't horrendous as far as TV. I don't think I would watch it now, but
No.
when it's like after school, Simpsons is finished. That's on.
Yeah.
I watch it, but I was meant to send. This is completely unrelated. I was meant to send you a video. To a video about all the controversies of Deep Space Nine.
Controversy.
Yeah. Lots and lots, apparently.
In what sense?
I don't know. I don't watch it, but there's no, that's what I'm saying. I was going to send it to you for you to watch.
Right. Okay.
But basically, there's a channel I'll watch that I can't remember the name of, so apologies. But it looks back and it'll go, the Power Rangers was like a big success, and this is what happened, and these are some of the things that happened behind the scenes, and blah blah blah. And they do it for loads of different things. And when I was just watching one after another, and then this Star Trek one come up, and I was like, I sent that to Dan, and then I did something and completely forgot until just. This was like last Thursday.
But is that about like the making of a show, or things like moral quandaries within the show?
No. It'll be about. Typically, it'll be probably like pay disputes or.
Gotcha. Right. Yeah.
Some of, like people fell out on set or whatever, and like even like down to like I watched one yesterday about Goofy Movie, but when whoever at the time was CEO, the new person took over, and it was like bin it, don't even fucking release it, and then all the people that had worked on it and stuff, they hadn't been paid and blah blah blah, and then obviously it did finally come out, and it was actually quite a big success. I fucking love a Goofy Movie; it's a great film.
Hollywood is just such a shit show, isn't it?
Really, well, with that clip from the Spotify trial.
Oh my god, yeah, insane!
That is so fucking awful.
We'll leave it at this because it is terrible. Summarize it because it is genuinely worth a watch if you've got the time. But
it's basically the judges talked to. I don't know the gentleman's name, but the guy who's basically the boss of Spotify.
Who's like the founder and CEO.
Yeah, and he made like. I don't know, like $140 million or something in a year, and then we're on about what artists make, and he was like, we've currently got the biggest, we've had the biggest year for artists making a living from just Spotify, and she was like, yeah, but to the stats that Spotify provided to the court, it would take another 75 years for it to be across the board. And then people who are not in that top percent make $12 a month from it, and that could be down to like you could have obviously, I don't think Taylor Swift is on Spotify, but we'll just say she is. Taylor Swift will be in that top percent,
sure.
But then you're going to have like smaller bands like someone like Royal Blood. They're probably only making $12 a month from just Spotify, and. I don't know. It just really took me by surprise because I thought Spotify was a big advocate for supporting artists and stuff. I mean, like
it's easy enough to say.
Yeah, we don't make anything.
No, but you've still got to follow through on it. Like you can't just say, we want to be a financial, like we want to be a platform that will financially support people to be able to follow their dream and become an artist. Now, obviously, realistically, not everyone can be a megastar, super millionaire.
No.
But if you do get your break and you do hit the right people at the right time and you kind of break through, you shouldn't. You should be able to get as much back out of the industry as you put into it, I suppose. Yeah. Whereas it's like sort of like if you just pooter along, you need another full-time job.
Yeah.
To actually be able to survive, and from what I understood, the mission brief of what Spotify was for. It was to support the artists. So it was to provide music, and that's why they secure themselves as such a big platform.
Yeah.
But to support the artists that they were getting on there, whoever they are. But it's just like it's whoever you are if you're already successful.
Yeah, if you are Joe Rogan or Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing because like you could look at it and go, the X band last year had 5.7 million streams of their new album. They still got fuck all money from it though, and that's kind of how it seems to be portrayed. I'll be honest, right? Other than what I sent to you, that's all I've really looked into. Probably should have looked into it a little bit more. But I'd say we're on Spotify, and it's. I would assume the argument in Spotify's favour is, yeah, but we're not charging you anything to be on there.
That's true.
So anything you do make is more than what you paid, which is nothing. And that would be my. I'm not advocating it, but that would be my argument. Is, all right, we'll start charging you then.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to upload something, it's $1 an upload or whatever. Then.
Or they'd get some if if you got the viewership. Then if you're getting advertising, they'd get a certain portion of advertising or something like that. Maybe.
Yeah. So again, there's a lot of different pros and cons to all of these kind of things, but yeah, didn't seem very good at all. More so the fact that he was very cagey about it, and he was just like, that's that data hasn't been verified. She's like, this is the data you provided to us. It was like, ooh. Well, he's Zuckerberg all over again. He doesn't seem he's not the right person to be sat in that trial.
He's not the hype man.
Yeah. But yeah, as I say, we'll see what happens from that. I'm not going to. The podcast will still be on there. We need those $12 a month done. But no, I don't have anything else other than we played some FC24 the other day. That's gone up. That's on the channel, as is the previous podcast. And we're going to be doing some Suicide Squad kills the Justice League, because that was free for Prime Day.
Yes.
A little bit of that. And I believe we're going to be doing some Once Human at some point as well.
Yeah, I've got it installed. I have a little go on it. I don't know what to make of it yet, but like I say, I've gone through sort of like a mission, and then that's it. So
I haven't even installed that yet.
Seems kind of. It looks like it could be good. I was talking to a mate about it. He said that he really, really likes it. And again, for free, it certainly doesn't
worth
look
a try.
Poor by any means. Oh, excuse me. That's my signal to wrap this up, I reckon.
Yeah. If you want to see more things where Dan also yawns through them, you can go to podcastversusplayer.com, where you can see all of our podcasts, our Let's Plays, game shows, and other things. Quick shout out to Fifine for featuring us in their Prime Day deals.
I was going to say, I saw that pop up the other day, and I was like, who's tagging us in a fucking video? And it was just... It was Fifine, and they were just like, here's just a section of Cal's review, and tagged us, so thank you very much for that. It's very, very nice of you.
Much appreciated. You can also go check it out on our website, and there's a link to that. And you can pick it up if you get today. There's a bit of a discount for Prime Day on there, so
ding.
Check it all out. And
well, I mean, you say that.
By the time this goes up,
it's already too late. Yeah.
Bookmark it for next year. But yeah, we'll see you on the next one. Bye.